Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Review Room. My name is Helena. On this podcast, I like to talk about controversies or pivotal moments that have shaped the world of sports, drama. So today, I'm tackling, no pun intended, not one but two infamous cases in the NFL known as Spygate and Deflategate. We'll explore the scandals involving the New England Patriots, how they unfolded, their impacts on the league, and how they were perceived by the public. And honestly, this is how I understand it, so I'm going to try my best to explain it to the best of my abilities, but if I got something wrong, please let me know. To understand the Spygate scandals, it's essential to know what Spygate generally refers to. It's the act of illegal videotaping or otherwise gaining intelligence on an opponent's signals or practices. In the NFL, where strategy and secrecy are paramount, such actions strike at the heart of fair play and competition.
What's known as Spygate. The scandal centers around tapes the Patriots made of opposing teams' coaching signals. The NFL has rules against such eavesdropping and has already penalized the Patriots and fined their coach after the team was caught in the act last season. However, questions still lingered about past practices.
So I'll give you kind of like a quick rundown summary of what happened, and then we'll get into more details on, and timeline of things. So in 2007, the New England Patriots were caught videotaping the defensive signals of the New York Jets during a game. The practice was against NFL rules, which prohibit teams from filming opponents' sidelines during games. The incident came to light when Jets head coach Eric Mangini, a former Patriots assistant, alerted the NFL officials. The NFL conducted a thorough investigation confirming that the Patriots had violated league rules. Commissioner Roger Goodell handed out severe penalties. Head coach Bill Belichick was fined $500K, Patriots organization was fined $250K, and the team was stripped of their first-round draft pick in the 2008 NFL Draft.
Had an assistant videotape signals or play calls being sent onto the field by the New York Jets last Sunday. But in this age of huge money and huge media coverage, it could be getting worse.
We put all of these people on such pedestals, and we put such an onus on winning and losing.
Despite the penalties, the Patriots continued to be highly successful, winning multiple Super Bowls in the following years. The scandal, however, cast a lingering shadow over their achievements, with critics questioning the legitimacy of their success.
The Patriots have won 3 Super Bowls in the last 6 years, a dynasty. Now many are wondering if it's a dynasty built on deceit.
It makes you wonder how long they've been doing that, and we played them in New England before, and it seemed like they knew everything we were doing.
I think the Patriots actually live by the saying, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
That's just kind of a basic summary of, what kind of happened. Now we're going to transition into kind of a more in-depth version of the story. And for the most part, I'm going to be using ESPN's timeline play-by-play of events. So on September 9th, 2007, NFL security officials confiscated a camera and videotape from 26-year-old Patriots video assistant Matt Estrella on the New England sidelines when it was suspected he was recording the Jets' defensive signals during the New England's 38-14 victory in the season opening game at Giants Stadium. So a year before this, clubs were reminded of the prohibition against taping sideline signals from league headquarters, which stated, videotaping of any kind, including but not limited to taping of an opponent's offensive or defensive signals, is prohibited on the sidelines, in the coach's booth, in the locker room, or at any other locations accessible to staff members during the game. September 11th, 2007, so a day later, league sources tell ESPN that NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has determined that the Patriots violated league rules when they videotaped the Jets' defensive signals and would consider severe sanctions in light of his earlier stern warnings to all the teams about competitive violations. New England owner Robert Kraft is quoted from comments made at a charity appearance that day, saying, "When you're successful in anything, a lot of people like to try to take you down and do different things." Reports surfaced that the Patriots had been caught videotaping once before. In November 2006, during a game in Green Bay, the Packers caught Estrella again, shooting unauthorized video, and didn't take any footage away, just told him to stop recording. The New York Daily News quoted an anonymous source who says the Jets coach, Eric Mangini, was aware of New England's surveillance methods from his earlier tenure as a Patriots assistant coach. Patriots coach Bill Belichick issued a short apology statement. However, when pressed for further info, he walked out of his weekly news conference, reportedly.
We learned this. Originally, Spygate was believed to have been 8 games taped between 2000 and 2007, but the National Football League's investigation, according to ESPN, was that the Patriots were involved in illegal taping of 40 games, as opposed to 8.
On September 13th, 2007, Goodell issues an emergency order mandating that New England must turn over all videotape and sign stealing material in violation of league policy. At the same time, before receiving the requested tapes and materials, Goodell fines Belichick the NFL maximum of $500K.
League actually visited Foxborough Stadium. They were in a conference room, and they grabbed the evidence, and literally NFL employees stomped on cassettes of 40 games, literally stomping plastic pieces of the cassette on the floor. They then took notes that were accumulated by Bill Belichick's assistant Ernie Adams, and they put them in the shredder. The report also cites former Patriot coaches saying that low-level Patriots employees would sneak into the visitors' locker room and steal play sheets so the Patriots would know what the first 15 to 20 plays would be from their opponent in that particular game.
And the Patriots are ordered to pay $250,000 for spying on an opponent's defensive signals. In a written response accepting responsibility, Belichick says, in part, as the commissioner acknowledged, our use of sideline video had no impact on the outcome of last week's game. He also said that they've never used sideline video to obtain a competitive advantage while the game was in progress. Part of my job as head coach is to ensure that our football operations are conducted in compliance with the league rules and all accepted interpretations of them.
You said you always try to err on the side of caution and try and stay on that side of the rules, but with the videotaping, it was clear that you were pushing the envelope on that. Is that something that changed then, or is that...
No, well, I mean, look, that's a whole other discussion, but the guy's giving signals out in front of 80,000 people, okay? So we filmed him taking signals out in front of 80,000 people, like there were a lot of other teams doing at that time too, okay? But forget about that. If we were wrong, then we've been disciplined for that.
That's clearly not trying to do everything you can to stay on the side.
Guy's in front of 80,000 people. 80,000 people saw it. Everybody sideline saw it. Everybody sees our guy in front of 80,000 people. I mean, there he is. So it was wrong. We were disciplined for it. That's it. We never did it again. We're never going to do it again. And anything else that's close, we're not going to do either.
So is that a change? I'm talking about what you said a few minutes ago, which is that we always try and stay on.
We always do. We always have. But, I mean, anything that's even remotely close, we're on the side of caution.
Neither Goodell's statement nor Bill Belichick's response mentions the videotaping practice extending into the past.
Why did you destroy the tapes?
Because we had an admission of guilt. There was no purpose for the tape. The tapes are competitive. I didn't want them to have access to that, and I don't want the other 32 teams to have that.
How would anyone get access to it if you had it in your possession?
The same way, unfortunately, it got out to the media a week after we discovered it. So, unfortunately, there are ways in which tapes get out. From my standpoint, there was no purpose for it, and that's why I destroyed all of his notes and all of his tapes. Okay? Thank you.
On September 14th, 2007, on ESPN Radio's Mike and Mike show, it was reported that the league might not close the book on the controversy and might continue to review it. Chris Mortensen, who was an NFL insider and award-winning sportscaster, he suggested that the videotaping of the September 9th game against the Jets could be the tip of the iceberg and that the Patriots' practice could include jamming the radio frequency in opponents' headsets and miking the Pats' defensive linemen to hear the offense's audibles and the cadence between the center and the quarterback. Mortensen also reported that Belichick has privately told Goodell he had been taping opponents' signals since he became the Pats head coach in 2000. It was reported that Goodell ordered the Patriots turn over all videotape files and notes relating to their activity that resulted in the disciplinary action. If the Patriots were not to be compliant, the commissioner prepared to impose even greater sanctions. A couple days later, Belichick agreed to comply with league requests to turn over notes and videotapes, but refused to confirm that there is an additional video, saying it was a league issue. On September 20th, the NFL announced New England is in compliance with the request for tapes and other documents, to which they received and destroyed all materials disclosing nothing about the contents. A league spokesman said the team would be unlikely to face any further sanctions, and they were asked if there was evidence of the Patriots using the tactics in their Super Bowl wins, to which there was no comment. And then a few months later, Goodell said that the tapes and notes were destroyed to ensure that the Patriots would not secure any possible competitive advantage as a result of the misconduct that had been identified. At his annual Super Bowl news conference, Goodell says the evidence from the Patriots destroyed by the league consisted of 6 tapes from the 2006 season and 2007 preseason. He was asked twice how far back the Patriots began to tape their opponent's signals, which he didn't give a specific answer, and there's no mention from Goodell that the practice dated back to 2000. Of the 38 questions posed to Goodell, 10 were related to Spygate. Goodell reveals the reason the league destroyed the tapes turned over by the Patriots, and I quote, "They were totally consistent with what the team told me. There was no purpose for them." He also says he believes the Patriots gained no advantage from taping, saying, I think it was probably a limited effect, if any effect, on the outcome of any game.
According to the ESPN investigation, the Patriots spied on opposing teams in at least 40 games from 2000 to 2007, videotaping the signals of opposing coaches to gain an on-field advantage. That's far more widespread than the league's findings, which stated the Patriots had been involved in spying on a few games during the 2007 season only. In a statement Tuesday, the Patriots fired back, calling ESPN's report, quote, unfounded, unwarranted, and quite frankly, unbelievable allegations.
A couple days later, the Boston Herald reported that an unnamed source has claimed a Patriots employee secretly videotaped the St. Louis Rams walkthrough the day before Super Bowl 36. The Patriots issued a statement denying the information in the Herald story, claiming it was absolutely false.
Statement from the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots have never filmed or recorded another team's walkthrough. It is disappointing that some choose to believe in myths, conjecture, and rumors rather than giving credit for the team's success to Coach Belichick, his staff, and the players.
However, at the Pro Bowl in Hawaii, Goodell acknowledged that the league had heard rumors about the alleged Super Bowl walkthrough taping, that they were aware and pursued it, but weren't able to get any info that was credible. Belichick was said to have been taping the sidelines before 2000, as there was confirmation that there had been taping since the time Coach Belichick took over. Belichick broke his silence a couple days later, saying he misinterpreted the rule and he takes responsibility for it. Even though I felt there was a gray area in the rule and I misinterpreted the rule, that was my mistake and we've been penalized for it. Then about a month later at the league's meetings, a rule was passed that allowed headsets to be installed in the helmets of defensive players for sideline to field communication. The public opinion, I guess, was very deeply divided. Patriots fans largely viewed the incident as overblown, while critics, saw it as a significant breach of ethics. It's made a huge impact. The term Spygate, it will, I think, always correlate with the Patriots, and it's often brought up in discussions of their legacy. So why are we talking about this? Well, the Spygate incident underscores the importance of integrity and fair play in sports, so here are some broader implications and lessons learned. There were some rule changes. The NFL implemented stricter rules and surveillance to prevent similar events from happening in the future. Teams were reminded of the importance of adhering to the league's guidelines and severe consequences of violating them, and the media also played a really huge role in this. The Patriots scandal, in particular, was heavily covered, influencing how fans and analysts viewed the team's achievements. And this serves as a reminder that, the media's power in framing narratives and the importance of critical thinking behind research. Okay, do your research. But let's switch gears now to the Deflategate scandal. So, Deflategate is a controversy involving the New England Patriots, particularly quarterback Tom Brady, accused of using underinflated footballs during the AFC Championship game against the Indianapolis Colts on January 18th, 2015. The Patriots defeated the Colts 45-7. Normally for each game, each team prepares a set of 12 balls for it to use in offense, and they're checked by officials beforehand. The NFL has confirmed that the Patriots' balls were properly inflated before the game, but after catching an interception during the second quarter, a Colts linebacker noticed that the ball felt less inflated than usual. During halftime, officials checked the other 11 balls from the Patriots and found that they were all indeed underinflated. At that point, they were reinflated to the proper pressure and stayed that way for the second half. However, post-game an investigation started. So what happened before the game? Well, Patriots coach Bill Belichick had previously claimed that merely taking the balls from the warm-up room to the cold outdoors could account for the pressure drop, but the investigation uncovered video of a part-time Patriots staff member named Jim McNally taking the balls away from the officials before getting permission, a breach of protocol, and bringing them into a bathroom before the game for a little under 2 minutes. We don't know exactly what went on in there, but in the previous months, McNally exchanged many text messages with a team equipment assistant that looked extremely suspicious. In a number of those text messages, McNally discussed the air pressure of Patriots game balls, Tom Brady's unhappiness with the inflation level of Patriots game balls, and a plan to provide McNally with a needle for use by McNally, and McNally's request for cash and sneakers together with the needle to be provided by the team equipment assistant. And this is wild because McNally calls himself the deflator, and he also takes requests for autographed game balls and jerseys, which were given to him by Brady after games. In one text, McNally appears to be angry at Brady and saying the only thing deflating is his passing rating. But meanwhile, in the week following the AFC Championship, Brady began frequently texting and calling, seemingly try to reassure him after suspicions arose. Brady had denied involvement but refused to turn over text messages and emails to investigators. But seemingly from the text messages, it does look like they intentionally deflated the balls before the AFC Championship, and that Brady was quite aware of it. So now, why would they want to deflate the balls? Well, the NFL began an inquiry into whether the Patriots used underinflated balls, which would be easier to grip, throw, and catch in cold weather. So next, the NFL hired an independent investigator to conduct an investigation named Ted Wells. The Wells report concluded that it was more probable than not that Patriots personnel deliberately released air from game balls. The report implicated Tom Brady, suggesting he was generally aware of the activities that I just discussed. So now let's talk about the repercussions. The NFL imposed the following penalties. Tom Brady was suspended for 4 games, Patriots were fined $1 million, and the team forfeited their first-round pick in the 2016 NFL Draft and a 4th-round pick in 2017. Following this were legal battles. Tom Brady and the NFL Players Association appealed the suspension. A U.S. District Court initially vacated Brady's suspension in September 2015, allowing him to play the 2015 season. The NFL appealed, and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit reinstated the suspension in April 2016. The Patriots, led by Brady, went on to win the Super Bowl. So it just brings me back to the question, why would the Patriots want to underinflate the footballs? The basic idea is that the softer, less fully inflated footballs are easier to hold and catch, given that the game was played in slick, rainy conditions, and that different footballs are used by each team. This could provide a slight advantage to the Patriots' offense, and might help Tom Brady throw the ball, and could also help running backs and receivers hold onto it more tightly when tackled. Teams use their own set of balls whenever they're on offense, so it wouldn't even have benefited the Colts. It might have not made a huge difference, but material scientists and players confirmed that, letting a bit of air out could make the ball somewhat easier to hold, especially for the quarterback. Now, there's no direct evidence that McNally deflated the balls before other games. However, the text messages suggest that he may have been doing so the entire 2014 season. So obviously we talked about some key figures. Tom Brady, who's the quarterback of the New England Patriots, was accused of being aware of the deflation. Bill Belichick, head coach of the Patriots, denied any knowledge of the deflation activities. And Roger Goodell, an NFL commissioner, who upheld Brady's suspension upon appeal. So, a lot of people love Tom Brady, a lot of people hate Tom Brady, but regardless, many fans and analysts believe the punishment was excessive and questioned the integrity of the investigation. Some argued that the Patriots had a history of bending rules, referencing Spygate, and deserved stringent penalties.
It's one of those things when you keep being involved in a topic or something and it just centers around, seems to be one team, it makes it tough, because it's one of those things where you go, yeah, it sounds like it's a harmless situation, but you know what, why is it always this team that's involved in these harmless situations, and those kind of things. So I think that's one of the things that, as players across the league in general, I think that's really the thought most guys have, just because it's tough that it's always seems to be them involved in something like this.
The scandal received extensive media coverage, leading to debates about sportsmanship, integrity, and the NFL's disciplinary process.
The story is, it's amazing to me, Spygate, Deflategate.
I still have it. I have the video, and I'm dead serious. I used to show it at parties. I used to show in a continuous loop, dead serious, at parties, and people look at it. And the first part of Spygate, by the way, is the guy zeroes in on like random chicks in the crowd, in the stands, and like tight shots. And then he goes to like the Jet City dancers, and he's kind of, going after their anatomy, and then back to different girls. And then I'm like, oh man, this sucks. Somebody just totally duped me. And then all of a sudden, boom, you see kind of Brady coming to focus. I'm like, okay. But then he goes back to the girls. And then it's 20 minutes of exactly what we're talking about. Amy is zooming in right there, coaches signals, scoreboard.
Again, the NFL made changes to the game. For example, how footballs are handled and monitored before and during games. The scandal somewhat tainted the legacy of Tom Brady as well and the Patriots. And this also sets a precedent of how the NFL handles internal investigations and player discipline. So Deflategate remains one of the most controversial moments, like Spygate, in NFL history, highlighting the intense scrutiny of professional sports and the fine line between competitive advantage and rule breaking. And apparently the NFL spent like $20 million or something like that trying to figure this out, trying to figure out what happened. And it just provides a rich topic for the discussion on ethics, the role of governing bodies in sports, and personal legacies of those involved. So the Spygate scandal, while controversial, have also contributed to ongoing discussions about ethics and sportsmanship in the NFL, and they highlight the delicate balance between competitive advantage and fair play, reminding us all of the values that should underpin sports. So thank you for joining me on Inside the Review Room. I'll leave you with a quote from Walter Payton, who played in the NFL for 13 seasons with the Chicago Bears. When you're good at something, you tell everyone. When you're great at something, they'll tell you.